What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the garage, and today we are on step 4 of the MAF tuning, but we're going to change it up a little bit today, so stick around. This video is intended for educational purposes only. Improper tuning can cause catastrophic mechanical damage, and you should do your own research before attempting any changes like this to a vehicle. Attempt custom tuning at your own risk. Everybody, welcome back to the garage, and as always, we got to start off by thanking all of our supporters out there, everybody that's liking the content, everybody who's already subscribed. If you haven't subscribed already, click that bell, ring that button, whatever you do in the YouTube's world, I guess is click the button, ring the bell. Nonetheless, do that so you don't miss out on all this great tuning content. Don't forget to check out tuning101.com. That takes you right to our YouTube homepage where we have all the tuning playlist, all that jazz. It's the quick way to get to all the information. Then also check out goatropegarage.com if you're interested in things like merch, signing up for the Patreon to get tuning assistance, all that fun stuff. Okay, so this is video number 4 in the tuning series on the MAF. So far we just did idle and startup as the first video. Second video we did kind of driving around, ran into some limp mode problems, got those bypassed, sorted out, but we were running into auxiliary fueling. Video number 3, which I'll throw a link up into the corner here, we got the auxiliary fueling on, but we were running into some methanol stuff where the methanol injection really wasn't working. Found out that that was just because I'd put a check valve in where I hadn't had one beforehand. And so the duty cycle required to get the pump rolling was a little bit higher than previously. And so I've gone through up the duty cycle up across the board where it comes on at a lower pressure, so we should be spraying earlier on the methanol. So that being said, we should be running a little bit richer on this setup than we were on the previous one that I'm getting ready to load up because I didn't load up the tune after video number 3. The battery on my laptop was about to die, so I didn't want to risk it. What are we going to do today? Well, today we're going to go and top the tank off with E85. Right now we're around 20 to 22% E85. We're getting, it says we got about a little less than half a tank. You got to remember that my fuel gauge is not the most accurate with my fuel cell, but we're going to go top it off, get a little more ethanol in there, so we're not jumping all the way to a high E85 content, or even like I'm suspecting we'll probably be around E50 to E60, and we can pay attention to our duty cycles and that our fueling is correcting itself because we're bringing in flex fuel readings to both the factory ECM to make corrections and to the micro squirt to make corrections for the auxiliary. That way, once this is tuned in, both of them should correct at the same. And in fact, I use math to copy over the scale rate from 0% alcohol to 85% alcohol from the factory ECM, and I applied that same scaling into the enrichment table for E85 for the micro squirt. That way, they're both reading the same. They should both be commanding the same additional pressure, or not pressure, but fuel ratio. On top of it, we're going to test out the boost control system. I've had it set to 10 PSI. Today, we're going to drop it down to 5 and see if it actually works. So let's go ahead and open it up. I've got Tuner Studio pulled up down here, and we'll connect up to our project. And I'll jump into the boost control section of it here, and we'll lower down our set point from 10 PSI to 5 PSI. So if we go in, we are looking for boost target table, and we're at 170. Let's go ahead and launch our Google machine here, and we will do PSI to KPA. Oh, I don't have connection. Derp. Well, 170 is around 10 PSI, so let's just drop it down to 135 and burn that in. You gotta remember, this is over atmospheric, at least I think it is. So, should be good there. That's all set up, good to go. Pretty straightforward and simple. Now I'm gonna flash in that tune that I was talking about, then we'll get going. Okay, I've got everything pulled up here. We're just gonna do a quick glance around at everything, make sure we're looking good. You can see that on the micro squirt, we're reading -9 PSI on the boost. We're reading the same thing over on HP tuners in the upper right-hand corner of our chart versus time. That's good. RPMs all are synced up. Fuel pressure looks good. Of course, we don't have any pulse width right now, and we're running about 870 degrees on our EGT. So we're gonna head down towards the gas station where we get E85 around here, and around there we'll do a couple pulls and see if this boost controller holds us at 5 PSI. So we're kind of out on the road here. We're looking for a little flat section that we can kind of get into boost where we're not going to end up rear-ending somebody. Got on a little bit. It looked like it may have gotten up to about 6, but it did act like it was trying to control. But I didn't really get to a point where I could give it a lot of throttle. Let's try it right here. Nope, that was 12. We got all the way up to 12, so our boost controller is not working. Well, we will have to do some more research into that to see what's going on. If it worked the first time, I would be a little bit concerned. So yeah, you know how it goes. Haven't tested it. And honestly, I haven't tested the output to make sure that it's triggering properly. Should be able to go into the micro squirt, trigger that output, hear the solenoid click. I need to verify that I even have a fuse in for that solenoid. I may have forgotten to put one in. You know, it could be 101 different things. But whenever we get back to the garage, we'll dive into it and check it out. But for now, let's go ahead and get some E85 in this thing. Okay, so it got me thinking, we just hit a lot of boost. I wonder if this setup is not taking atmospheric into account. It's about the only thing that I can think of, so we're going to look at it. And we'll just drop it down to 35 kPa as opposed to 135, assuming that that's maybe just 35 kPa over where we're supposed to be. Maybe if you guys know this setup a little bit better than I do, wish we could view this thing in PSI. How do I change units? I want PSI, not KPA. Okay, it's worth a shot. Who knows? Maybe it will work, maybe it won't. But let's go ahead and look at our log. We're still kind of recording here. Let's check our, make sure, we got a little bit of spark retard in there, especially up there where we jumped up to about 12 PSI. So we need to keep an eye on that. Hopefully we don't get back up to there. That was not the intention, but overall, yeah, we ran a little lean, then we got into a little richness on the top side. So let's make an update. We'll copy this over, throw it into our MAF calibration here. Methanol did kick in that time, saw good methanol spray in there, so happy with that. It's a weird kind of spot. I'm going to fatten this up here. Smooth across this. Let's go from this point, 9,000 up, and smooth it. Smooth this stuff out. I'm going to add 3% manually, and we'll do the same for the rest. Okay. 9,000. We'll smooth across that just a smoosh. And hopefully we can kind of get all this stuff smoothed out eventually. So we'll save this. Step 15. And I'm going to throw more ethanol in. I'll be right back. So we're going pretty rich right now. Now granted, we are doing the methanol injection with the auxiliary injection. Auxiliary injection seems to be working great. I was just watching it on the last pull, man. It really throws the fuel at it. That's what I like to see. We do have a rather rich PE, so on the next tune adjustment, I'm going to dial the PE back to 0.85 lambda, about where I like to run it underneath boost. Looking pretty good over here on the wideband though, other than we're not going quite as rich as we were yesterday. We're getting into the 7s though, which is obviously too rich. So everything's starting to fall in line, and the goal that we're going to kind of shoot for, because there's going to be some inconsistency on the MAF curve with all the stuff that's going on, the ancillary injection, auxiliary injection, the methanol injection, and stuff like that, is we want to get it to a MAF curve that's safely rich throughout the entire thing whenever it's smooth. So we're going to have some cells that maybe sit just right on our commanded EQ, But then we might have some cells that are 4 or 5% rich in the same area whenever we're wide open throttle, because of some of the dynamics that's going on with all of the different fueling that we are throwing at this thing. And that's perfectly fine. We want to err on the side of safety on this setup. And so that's kind of what we're going to do, is we're just going to shoot for that good, clean curve. We also need to go back and look at our duty cycles on this one, see what kind of duty cycle we're seeing now that we're almost at 50% ethanol. So this will give us a nice guideline for the next time we'll run the tank real low, fill it up with E85 again, and then hopefully get up in that 60 to 70% range. As I said, the chances of getting a full tank of just straight E85 are slim to none out here because of the way they blend that stuff, the way they haul it. You know, the tank that they may haul that thing in could have had premium in it on the last haul, and even though they filled it up with E85, it may have not gotten all the way topped off with E85. So we can't assume that we're going to get perfect E85 every time. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the wrap up for today. We touched on boost control, which does not work. We will circle back on that. We did dive into adding more E85 to it, adjusting our auxiliary fuel system to compensate because we were getting close to that 5 milliseconds. Actually, 5's fine, 6 is the limit that we're wanting to hit on this setup. So we've made the adjustment there to go ahead and keep us on the rich side with our auxiliary system. Our methanol injection is working now like gangbusters. Everything looks good on that front. So it's just going to require a little bit more tuning on the MAF. Then once we get all that stuff sorted out, we should be good to go. Got to figure out this boost control thing though, because I really want to go ahead and pull off this pulley and put the smaller pulley on. But obviously, since we already blasted, what, I don't know, 14 PSI on accident, could be dangerous putting a smaller pulley on right now, because the last thing that we want to do is cram 20 PSI down this thing's throat, because it would not be prepared for that. So we've got to get our boost control set figured out. But I'm going to get back to it, see what I can figure out. Thank you as always for subscribing, tuning in, watching these videos. Let me know if you got any questions, comments, hit up the comments down below. You know the drill. ABT, always be tuning.